So just some reminders before we get into the video. First reminder is to make sure that you're keeping an eye out and an ear out for the key word for this lesson. Reminder number 2 is to make sure you're taking notes. Include the date, lesson number, aim, and standards to help you refer back in your notes. Let's get to it.
Welcome back. We are going to be doing lesson 8 today. Our aim is going to be how do we use order of operations to solve complex order of operation problems. So now we're going to be putting all of our information that we learned from past lessons into one. So we're going to start off by just defining what order of operations is again. So order of operation is the rule or strategy. So the rule that tells you the sequence to follow when you're performing operations in an expression. Okay, so now going over the strategy for order of operations. So Pemdas is the strategy that we've heard before in the past, whether in a different grade or in another lesson that I've done. So P is going to stand for parentheses. E represents exponents. You want to take care of those first after parentheses. Multiplication and division. You want to perform multiplication and division, whatever comes first in the expression when you go from left to right. And this also works when you're adding and subtracting. The last operations that you perform, and you want to also make sure that you're going from left to right in the expression. To go over the rules for absolute value, you want to make sure that you have the symbol for absolute value, 2 straight lines around a value. Your answer is always going to be positive. Unless it's an exception and you have a negative outside. So a negative absolute value 4, your answer will be negative 4. So you have a negative outside the absolute value. Okay, so let's take everything that we learned and let's try to do some examples together. Okay, so let's start with number 1. We have negative 1/2 plus 3/4 times 2/3. We want to follow our order of operations, Pemdas. So we're first going to see if there are any parentheses or groupings, and there's not. So then we want to notice if there's any exponents. There's not any exponents, so we're going to go straight to multiplication and division. We want to go from left to right, so we have 3/4 times 2/3. When we multiply those together, we're going to get 1/2. So we have negative 1/2 plus 1/2. Then we're going to follow order of operations again, and we're going to add and subtract, but here we just have addition. Negative 1/2 plus 1/2 is going to be 0. For number 2, again, we're going to follow Pemdas. We have parentheses, so we want to make sure we're dealing with everything in the parentheses. When we're in the parentheses, we also want to follow order of operations, but here we only have a single operation, so we just have to add. So we have to take negative 2.2 plus 6/8. If you use your calculator and plug it in, you are going to get negative 1.45. So now you have, when you rewrite everything, 1/2 times negative 1.45. So we're going to multiply. When we multiply those two together, as a fraction, you're going to get a negative 29 over 40, or you're going to get, as a decimal, negative 0.725. And those are your two possible answers for number 2. Moving on to number 3 and 4, try these on your own. Pause the video and we'll come back and go over the answers. Okay, so let's go over number 3 together. So you want to make sure you're following Pemdas still. We don't have anything in the parentheses to simplify. You only have a value. So we're going to skip parentheses. Exponents, there are no exponents. And now we're going to go to multiplication and division. If you notice, you have your double negative here. So a negative times a negative is a positive. So you would say you have negative 0.75 plus 2/5 plus 0.4 plus a negative 3/4. So we're following order of operations. We're going to go from left to right with addition and subtraction. So negative 0.75 plus 2/5. When you use your calculator, you're going to get a negative 0.35. I'm rewriting everything so I don't miss any values that I have to include in my expression. Then we're going to keep on going with our addition and subtraction. Negative 0.35 plus 0.4 is going to be 0.05 plus negative 3/4. If you want to change it to a decimal, you can. When you add those two together, a positive and negative, you're going to get negative 0.7, or as a fraction, negative 7/10. For number 3, you should have gotten one of those answers. So number 4 was a word problem, so you had to be very careful. So Jessica has 2 different jobs. When she babysits, she's going to make $15.25 per hour. When she's bags groceries, she's going to make $6.50 per hour. So you need to make sure you know the two. So how much will she earn if she works 9.5 hours babysitting and 4 hours bagging? So this should be Jessica, not Paul. So works 9.5 hours babysitting. So we have 15.25 when she babysits at 9.5 hours, plus your $6.50 when she bags groceries for 4 hours. So we're combining those two. We want to multiply 15.25 times 9.5, you're going to get 144.875. And then when you multiply 650 times 4, you're going to get 26. When you combine those together, they're going to add up to 170.875. But remember, you're finding out how much money. So you always want to make sure you're answering the question. So she's going to make $170.88 because you're going to round your 7. And there you go. So make sure you always are writing your questions on the left column. Make sure you ask me, try the practice, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.